This is the video for the half-life simulation. When you come into class, there are going to be three things that you need. One is the Google form that's up on the screen now. The other one is the Google sheet that's going to look like this, except all of these numbers will not be filled in. That's what you are going to do. I just made these numbers up, so you don't want to use these because yours will be different. And there's the actual simulation webpage. For the Google form, there's some background here, and then there's a procedure, and you want to read through those, and before you get to the questions, you're going to have to use the simulation and fill out that Google sheet. So if we go to the simulation, there's a video here, and you can watch that if you want. It gives some background on isotopes, information that we talked about in class before, but if you need a little refresher, go ahead and watch it. The information on the left here is what is in the Google form, so you don't have to really worry about what's over here. Mostly what you need is in this section right here. There are four hypothetical elements that you are going to work with, A, B, C, and D. So you could just start with A. Now what will make this a lot more efficient is if you are able to work with a partner, because one partner can be using the simulation and the other partner can be typing the numbers into the Google sheet, and that will make it go a lot quicker for you. So we're going to start with element A, and when you look down here, there are a couple things down here, and this is really where you're going to spend most of your time on this simulation. So you're starting off with 100 atoms of this hypothetical parent isotope A. And what you want to do is click the calendar here, and it says 1,000 years have passed. And if you want to, you could click this button here to remove atoms that are no longer radioactive. But then you have to count up the remaining radioactive atoms, and in this case there's 85. And whoever is recording the information on the Google sheet, that's what they're going to type in here. So instead of one person having to go back and forth, if two people are doing it, one person can just have the sheet open. And you're really just going to go through this and keep doing this. Alright, so then at 2,000 years past, there's 72 atoms remaining. And if you want to, you can click that. And you're going to put that information into these spreadsheets here. Alright, and you basically just do that for A, B, C, and D. Each time filling in the numbers here. So once you have all of those numbers filled out, what you want to do is make sure you have one of these cells picked anywhere in here. You don't want a cell out here picked. So just anywhere in there, and we're going to make a graph of this. So you click this Insert Chart button. Mine automatically came up with a line chart, and if yours does not, what you want to do is click this arrow, and you want to pick Smooth Line Chart, and I think this will work well. This looks better and it's easier to read if you make it full screen. So if you go where the chart is and these three dots, you can do Move to Own Sheet. Right, so it's a lot easier to read here. And now we can just kind of clean this up a little bit. If you go to Edit Chart and then Customize, we can change the titles and the axes. So what I want to do is Chart and Axis Titles, and I'm going to start with the title. So if title is not picked in that little drop down arrow, you hit Chart Title. And we're going to take all of this out. And I'm just going to change it to half-life. If I could type. Half-life of hypothetical isotopes. Something like that. And the x-axis has years, so that's good, that has a title on it, but the y-axis doesn't. So the vertical axis title, the y-axis, I'm going to call that percentage of parent isotope remaining. So now when we look at this, the questions are going to be about figuring out the half-life of the isotopes. And you can see, for the half-life, you would basically just go to where this 50% of parent isotope is remaining. Now, it's not going to be real easy to read these numbers here, so what we could do is change the x-axis. So I'm going to go down to grid lines, and I want the horizontal axis, that is the x-axis, and where it says minor grid line count, I'm going to make that 4. And now when that happens, you can see it has these little lines here. So that's 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 3,000 years, 4,000 years, and then there's 5,000. So each little line counts as 1,000 years. That's going to make it easier to read. Now if I close this, makes that graph bigger. And now when I ask questions about the half-life, you can either do the math to figure out what the half-life is. For this one, in this case, it works out pretty nice and easy because it looks like it lands right on that line where it would be 1,000 years. But these other ones aren't right on the line. So using the graph, you can estimate it, or if you wanted to do a little bit of math, you could figure out what that number would be. But you have those options. So once you're at this point, you should be able to go back to the Google form. I basically went over the procedure with you, and then you can start answering the questions that are below this. And that will be pretty much it for this exercise.